Hello friends, Neo Toy Story here, and I just wanted to make a quick little video about this DeWalt item that not a ton of people seem to know about. In fact, I was kind of surprised recently when was having a friend over for dinner and I had to clean up a spill and I brought out this vacuum and they were like, "What the hell? I didn't know DeWalt made a little mini vacuum." So yeah, DeWalt makes this tiny little vacuum, and I'm just gonna briefly go over sort of the pros and cons and give DeWalt a few suggestions for how they could improve the design a little. I have a 12 amp hour flex volt battery on here just for the lulz because it's like almost a $250 battery on a like what amounts to a $60 appliance, and you can get these on eBay pretty cheap. I think normally they're around like 99 or so, but you can get them a lot cheaper than that if you're just kind of like bargain hunting. Okay, so enough with the preamble. First of all, let me just say that, like, yeah, this is about what you'd expect for a really small portable vacuum cleaner. It's not like super powerful. It's adequate, is how I would describe it. Some of the cool attributes are that it has this big ass heavy duty rocker switch right here, kind of like underneath the handle, which is super convenient because you can actually just turn it on and off with your finger while you're holding it, which I find like super useful. So good job there, DeWalt. That was a good design choice. Secondly, this is a really cool design choice. You can pop out this handy little extension nozzle and put it wherever you want it into hard to reach places or whatever, and just gonna leave the vacuum stationary. And that's pretty sweet. Very innovative and useful feature. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much the pros, I would say, of this item. It's pretty heavy. It's like a few pounds, maybe 3 or 4 pounds, maybe, without a battery. I'm not sure. You'd have to look it up, but like it's heavier than I would like it to be, but it's still within reasonable limits for a handheld vacuum. All right. So the biggest problems that I have with this vacuum are as follows. Probably the biggest one would be that if you'll notice the way the design works, the little nozzle here, the main sucking nozzle, is just a flat surface at an angle. So when you're like running it along the ground, it gives you pretty good suction, and that's actually kind of a problem at times. So like you have to angle it in back and forth in order to suck things up. And I'd say it's not a bad form factor. This rectangular orifice is a pretty good form factor for sucking a variety of things up with the vacuum, but there are times when it is too big or too small, obviously, and that's kind of an issue. I don't know. I feel like maybe it would have been cool if this was more like a shop vac with just a universal kind of like port here on the end, like a circular port like this, that you could then attach whatever kind of nozzle you wanted to it. I mean, you can do that. You can just completely sidestep this nozzle and use this nozzle and put whatever you want on there, but I think it would have been cool to have a fixed nozzle that was interoperable like that you could attach accessories to. But overall, yeah, I just think this is probably one of the biggest flaws of the vacuum, is that this isn't really versatile enough for a lot of jobs. Okay, so secondly, and I don't know, honestly, this is probably the worst thing about this vacuum. And it's not a huge thing, but it's definitely an issue, is the way this, the reservoir, the rubbish tank, or whatever you want to call it, works. Kind of a hokey latching mechanism, pretty inelegant. It doesn't like fall off all the time or very often, but it, I think they could have designed this a little bit better in terms of how to easily detach it. But the real issue is this lip here. The fact that I don't know why they thought this would be a smart way to do this, but yeah, there's a lip that goes all the way around here where it sticks up to the bottom of the vacuum, and that, of course, when you're trying to dump it out, everything gets caught in this little lip and you have to shake it and stuff. It would have been nice if this was just a smooth like no lip, just straight up, or even better, maybe going in the opposite direction. That would have been nice. And then all these cavities in here too, also, like, just increasing the complexity of the mold for the little tank here, and that, not ideal there. And yeah, and then this thing just overly complicated and slightly kind of just failure prone. I've had it actually fall off a couple of times just from bumping the latch in the back. And now for the kind of the guts here, I feel mixed about this whole system they have here. The little flappers, good, of course, you know, that's a useful thing to have. In terms of the filters, really easy to just pop this off and knock it out. Pretty good seal. It's got an additional filter right here, which is kind of nice. Which you can clean if you have to. So that's pretty good. In terms of this actual filter module, I'd say it's not a bad design, pretty generic and universal, except for perhaps the interface. But the one issue I have with this is the way they've corrugated the filter membrane in here. A lot of debris gets stuck between all of these little crevices, as you would expect. You can see stuff stuck in there, and that makes it a little bit harder to clean when you're knocking it out. So I feel like with a vacuum this size, that there's no reason for all this additional surface area. It would have been fine to just have a straight walled filter. I think that would have been adequate. So I think they went a little bit overboard on this and made it considerably harder to clean. So that's probably something that I would try to modify. But overall, it's a pretty well designed system, really easy to unlock and unlock. And they did a good job on the sealing around here for, you know, to prevent leakage and to get a good vacuum. So the way this works is like this little lip here goes into this groove and then it pops up into here. Sometimes that's not seated right, and you gotta kind of watch out for that. And then this just kind of like, I don't know, a little bit too easy to pop off, and also just kind of cumbersome. You can pretty easily just sort of hit this and pop it off when you're in various situations, which is a little bit of a problem. Not a deal breaker though. There's a vents in here that you can barely see for the motor, basically exhaust and venting. And then this is like the main area where most of the exhaust comes out from the suction fan. On the sides, not a bad location, I suppose. The way they put the battery dock underneath the kind of the main leverage areas was pretty smart, I think, unless you're using a really light battery. Let me just grab one of those really quick. So, yeah, and this is a totally unanticipated issue, I think, that nobody could have foreseen. But when you're using a big battery like this, it completely lifts the nozzle off the ground and makes it a little more difficult to like get things, just if you're sucking stuff off a flat surface. But most people probably aren't going to have a huge battery under there. They're going to have something like this, which interestingly enough, like when you're using a small battery like this, you don't have that problem. But at the same time, the balance is way off, like until you fill up the tank. I mean, luckily you can kind of hold it back here if you want to. But yeah, so I don't know. Personally, I think a lot of the DeWalt tools, the battery is kind of like out of the way, either on the top or the back or the side. Having it underneath like this, I don't know. Also, it's irritating that it's sideways, even though that actually makes it pretty easy to pull out. So yeah, pretty high bar for design elements there, but I feel like this could have been a little bit more refined. But if you think about it, like DeWalt, their kind of bread and butter is more like conventional tools and not something like this, which kind of stands out a little as being a bit of an oddball, and that it's just like this, little mini vacuum. So yeah, in terms of noise, I'm gonna just turn this on so y'all can hear how much sound comes out. So yeah, it's actually fairly quiet as vacuums go, but it's definitely louder than a lot of little handheld vacuums. I don't know exactly how to demonstrate the suction power of this. I mean, I could vacuum up some sawdust or something, but yeah, it's got reasonable power. I find it vacuums up almost everything that I need it to vacuum up. One downside, of course, is that the reservoir is actually pretty small, so it fills up fairly quickly. But like, honestly, I think this reservoir is actually probably bigger than a lot of handheld vacuums. So yeah, I guess that's about all I had to say about this. But I mean, I think more than anything, just having an additional accessory that can take advantage of your DeWalt batteries while providing a lot of convenience is pretty cool. And the fact that not a huge number of people seem to know about this tool from DeWalt is kind of interesting. They don't always do a great job of marketing some of their more niche items. Yeah, anyway, the usual disclaimer: I bought this of my own volition. It was not gifted to me. I am not doing this for money or any paid promotion or anything. And yeah, I hope this video was useful. Thanks for watching.